Most men don't realize this, but a huge part of their anxiety around women has nothing to do with confidence. It has to do with what she represents in his mind. Not the woman herself, but the idea of her. And until a man understands that difference, he will keep confusing fear with weakness and restraint with strength. Let's slow this down. The moment something changes in a boy. There's a moment in a boy's life when something shifts. It's subtle, but it's permanent. He notices a girl, not just as another human being, but as something that matters, something that can judge him, approve him, reject him. This is often the first time a boy feels the pressure to become someone, not because anyone told him to, but because he wants to be seen as worthy. This isn't manipulation. It's instinct. And when this instinct is healthy, it becomes motivation. But when it's misunderstood, it becomes paralysis. Most men don't feel fear around women because they're weak. They feel fear because the woman in front of them represents a judgmental ideal. In his mind, she isn't just a person. She's a measuring stick. Am I enough? Am I impressive enough? Am I desirable enough? The stronger the attraction, the stronger the fear, and that's the paradox most men never talk about. The more he wants her approval, the more pressure he feels to perform. That's why men stumble over their words. That's why they overcompensate. That's why they suddenly forget who they are. He isn't reacting to her. He's reacting to what she represents in his imagination. And until a man learns to separate the woman from the ideal, and he will always feel smaller in her presence. The feminine as promise and threat. In a man's psychology, the feminine often represents two things at the same time: promise and threat. But promise, because she symbolizes growth, intimacy, meaning, and connection. Threat, because she symbolizes judgment, rejection, and emotional exposure. This is why attraction can feel exciting and terrifying at the same time. A man doesn't freeze because he doesn't want connection. He freezes because connection requires risk, and risk means he might not measure up. Why men act stupid when they care. A lot of men feel ashamed of how they behave around women they're attracted to. They replay conversations in their heads. They cringe at things they said. They wonder, why did I act like that? Here's the truth. In those moments, he isn't seeing the woman clearly. He's seeing an idealized projection, a symbolic figure carrying all his insecurities, hopes, and fears. That's why his behavior feels disconnected from who he normally is. He's not present. He's performing. When a man is deeply attracted to a woman, he often isn't reacting to her. He's reacting to an ideal he hasn't even questioned yet. In his mind, she becomes a symbol of approval, a symbol of judgment, a symbol of whether he's enough. That's why men lose themselves around women they care about. They're not being authentic. They're being evaluated, and the tragedy is this. The more idealized she becomes, the less human she feels to him. Well, a real connection can't happen there, because real connection requires seeing the individual, not the fantasy. Until a man learns to let the ideal die, he will never meet the woman standing in front of him. The necessary sacrifice. Men don't talk about. Here's the part almost no one explains to men. To build a real relationship with a real woman, a man has to sacrifice the fantasy. There's no such thing as the perfect woman. And the moment a man accepts that, not bitterly, but honestly, something powerful happens. The fear decreases. The pressure dissolves. The connection becomes possible. This isn't settling. It's maturing emotionally. Strength is not avoidance. A lot of men think strength means not caring, not approaching, not risking rejection, not showing interest. But that's not strength. No, that's avoidance dressed up as pride. True strength is the ability to move toward discomfort without being ruled by it. Avoiding rejection doesn't make a man strong. It makes him comfortable. Strength isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act with fear present. Every man who avoids women to protect his ego is paying a hidden price. He stays safe, but small. Rejection doesn't destroy men. What destroys men is letting fear decide their behavior. The goal isn't to never be rejected. The goal is to no longer be paralyzed by rejection, because once fear loses its power, choice returns. And that's where real confidence begins. Exposure is not humiliation. It's training. One of the most effective ways men overcome fear isn't confidence tricks. It's exposure. Gradual, repeated exposure to rejection without attaching meaning to it. Not to prove worth, not to dominate, but to normalize the experience. Rejection stops being personal when it becomes familiar. Rejection only feels catastrophic when it's rare. When a man experiences rejection repeatedly, respectfully, calmly, without drama, his nervous system learns something important. I survive this. The fear fades, not because women become less important, but because rejection becomes less threatening. Confidence doesn't come from success. It comes from resilience. A man who can hear no without collapsing is a man who can hear yes without desperation. And that balance changes everything. The calm masculine frame. A grounded man doesn't kneel before an ideal. He also doesn't reject intimacy. He meets women as equals. And not judges. This is where attraction becomes natural. Not forced, not performative, just present. If this perspective resonates with you, this channel is here to help men understand themselves, not perform masculinity. You're welcome to stay. A man doesn't become strong by hardening himself. He becomes strong by integrating fear without letting it rule him, by letting ideals die, by seeing women as individuals, by accepting rejection as part of growth. This isn't strength. Avoiding discomfort. This is strength. Staying open without losing yourself. Strength isn't pretending you don't care. Strength is caring without being controlled by fear. When a man stops placing women on a pedestal, he doesn't lose attraction. He gains presence. When he accepts rejection as part of the path, he doesn't become weaker. He becomes free. Freedom isn't confidence tricks. Freedom is emotional self-leadership. And that's what most men have been missing. Not courage, but understanding. If this helped you see yourself more clearly, subscribe if you want more grounded psychology for men. Not hype, not noise, just clarity.